I never thought the hardest document I would submit at work would be my own transfer request. Especially not when the person approving it was the woman I secretly admired. My name is Ryan Mitchell and I worked at Esterian Global as the executive assistant to CEO Vivian Blackwood. Everyone in the company knew Vivian, the youngest CEO in Esterian's history. The woman who turned a failing company into a billion-dollar technology empire. The woman who could walk into a negotiation room and make experienced executives nervous. People called her the Ice Queen CEO. Not because she was cruel, because she was impossible to read. I had worked beside Vivian for 3 years. 3 years of early mornings. 3 years of late nights. 3 years of watching her carry the entire company on her shoulders. And during those 3 years I made one mistake. I started caring too much. Not about her position. Not about her money. About her. The problem was Vivian Blackwood was my boss and I was just her assistant. There was a line. A very clear line. So I never crossed it. I organized her schedule, prepared her meetings, handled her documents, made sure she remembered to eat. That was my job. Nothing more. At least that was what I told myself. The problem became obvious during the annual company review. Everyone around me noticed. Ryan. My coworker Jake stopped beside my desk. What? He looked toward Vivian's office. You have been staring at that door for 5 minutes? I have not. You have. I am working. Jake looked at my empty computer screen. No, you are thinking. I sighed. What do you want? He lowered his voice. You like her? I immediately looked away. Oh, seriously? Jake, you know she is the CEO, right? Yes. You know she is basically unreachable? Yes. Then why? I smiled slightly. Because she is not what everyone thinks. Jake became quiet. What do you mean? Everyone sees the CEO. Pause. I see the person. That was the problem. I saw the person. The woman who stayed in the office after everyone left. The woman who secretly paid for an employee's medical bills but never took credit. The woman who remembered every employee's birthday. The woman who looked cold because she was always protecting herself. But recently something changed. Vivian started noticing me too. Not as an assistant. As Ryan. She remembered my favorite coffee. She asked about my family. She told me to leave work earlier. Small things. Dangerous things. Because they made me hope. And I knew hope was risky. The final reason I requested a transfer happened during a business dinner. A major client joked, Vivian, you should find someone who can handle your impossible schedule. Everyone laughed. Someone added, maybe Ryan should marry you. He already manages your whole life. The room laughed. I laughed too. But Vivian did not. She looked at me. For 1 second I thought I saw something. Something warmer. Then she looked away. That night I made my decision. I could not continue standing beside someone I could never reach. So I requested a transfer. A different department. A different city. A fresh start. The next morning I walked into Vivian's office. She looked up. Ryan. Yes, Ms. Blackwood. She immediately noticed the folder in my hand. What is that? I placed it on her desk. My transfer request. The room became silent. Vivian looked at the document. Then at me. Transfer? Yes. What? I prepared an answer. Professional. Simple. I think it is time for a new challenge. She studied me. That is not the real reason. I froze. Excuse me? Ryan. Her voice softened slightly. You are many things. Pause. But you are not someone who leaves without a reason. I looked away because she was right. Is this because of me? The question surprised me. I looked at her. What? Are you leaving because of me? I did not answer. That was enough. Vivian became quiet. For the first time she looked hurt, not angry. Hurt. She picked up the pen. I expected her to sign. I expected her to approve. After all, that was what I asked for. She was my boss. She had no reason to stop me. She signed the document, then pushed it back. Approved. My heart tightened. Thank you. I reached for the folder. Then I noticed something. Under the approved position section there was new handwriting. I looked closer. My breath stopped because Vivian Blackwood had written, new position, future husband. I stared, then looked at her. Ms. Blackwood. She calmly closed her pen. Yes. What is this? She looked at me. The position you actually applied for. I thought I heard wrong. Future husband? Yes. Vivian, yes. You cannot put that on a transfer form. What? Because that is not a company position. She looked completely serious. Then perhaps the company needs a new position. I stared. The Ice Queen CEO, the woman who terrified investors, had just rewritten my career path. I laughed nervously. You are joking. No, you are serious? Yes. What? For several seconds, Vivian said nothing. Then she stood, walked around the desk, and looked directly at me. Because I approved your transfer. Pause. From my assistant, another pause. To the person standing beside me. I could not speak. Vivian. Yes. When did you decide this? She looked at the transfer request. The moment I saw you trying to leave. What? Her answer was quiet. Because I realized a pause. I was about to lose the one person who never wanted anything from me. My phone suddenly rang. I looked down. A message from HR. Congratulations on your approved transfer. I almost laughed. Then another line appeared. New position title updated by CEO. I looked at Vivian. She smiled slightly. The first real smile I had ever seen. And then my phone showed the updated title. Future Husband CEO Office. I stared at the screen because I had asked my CEO boss for transfer and somehow she transferred me into her future. I thought the hardest part would be leaving. I was wrong. The hardest part was realizing Vivian Black would never plan to let me leave at all. The next morning, I arrived at Esterian Global expecting my final days as Vivian's assistant to begin. I had already prepared myself. A new department. A new office. A new manager. A normal life. That was what I wanted. At least that was what I told myself. But when I reached my desk, I noticed something strange. My computer was gone. I looked around. Where is my equipment? The employee from IT looked confused. Your equipment? Yes. CEO's office requested it. I froze. What? He shrugged. She said you would not need it here anymore. My heart skipped. Not needed here? What did that mean? Before I could think about it, Vivian's assistant appeared. Not me. Someone else. A woman named Sophie. Ryan. I turned. Yes. Ms. Blackwood wants to see you. I almost laughed. Of course she did. Apparently, even after approving my transfer, she still wanted to control every detail. I entered Vivian's office. The first thing I noticed was my laptop sitting on her desk. Close. I stared. You took my laptop? Vivian looked up. No then? I relocated it. I blinked. That is exactly what taking it means. A small smile appeared. You are learning to argue with me. I learn from the best. She looked satisfied. Good. I pointed at the laptop. Why is it here? Because your new position starts today. I froze. My new position? Yes. I looked at her. Future husband? She calmly nodded. I stared. You are still serious about that? Yes. Vivian? Yes. You cannot just write something like that on a company document. I can. What? Because I am the CEO. I sighed. That is not how company rules work. She looked at me. Then we will update the rules. I had no answer because somehow that sounded exactly like something Vivian Blackwood would do. She handed me a new folder. I opened it. Inside was not a transfer agreement. It was a schedule. I looked confused. What is this? Your new responsibilities. I read the first line. Leave work by 6:30 p.m. I looked at her. What? Your working hours. I'm not asking for reduced hours. I know. Then why? Because you need them. I smiled. You are still trying to fix my life. No, she looked at me. I'm trying to share it. That answer caught me off guard. 4 years, Vivian Blackwood had been known as someone who solved problems alone. She never asked for help. Never depended on anyone. But now she was sitting across from me trying to convince me to let her care. And somehow that was more surprising than anything else. Ryan? Yes. Why did you really request the transfer? I looked away. I told you. Nora's voice was calm. You gave me the professional answer. Pause. I want the real one. I stayed silent because the truth was embarrassing. Finally, I said because staying became difficult. What? Because I started expecting things. Her expression softened. What things? I laughed quietly. Things that were impossible. Such as. I looked at her thinking maybe you saw me differently. The room became silent. Vivian did not look away. That surprised me. Most people would avoid the conversation. She did not. Ryan. Yes? I did see you differently. My heart stopped. What? You thought I only saw you as my assistant? Yes. You were wrong. I could not speak. She continued. I saw the person who stayed late because he cared about his work. The person who remembered everyone's problems but ignored his own. The person who always stood behind me. Pause. Even when I never asked him to. I swallowed. Then why did you never say anything? Vivian looked down, and for the first time I saw hesitation from Vivian Blackwood. I did not know how. I almost smiled. You? Yes. The woman who negotiates billion-dollar deals? Yes. The woman who scares investors? Yes. You did not know how to say something? She looked at me. Business has rules. And feelings? She was quiet. Feelings do not. That answer changed something because I suddenly realized Vivian was not cold because she did not care. She was careful because she cared too much. At noon something unexpected happened. Vivian walked into the company cafeteria with me. The entire room became quiet because the CEO never ate there. Never. She always had private meetings, private meals, private everything. But today she sat beside me. I looked around. Everyone is staring. I know. You do not care? No, why? She opened her lunch. Because I spent years caring what people thought. Pause. I am tired. I looked at her food. You made this? She nodded. I froze. You cooked? Yes. You? Yes. Why? She looked at me like the answer was obvious. Because you forgot lunch 3 times last week. I laughed. You remember that? I remember everything about you. The sentence was simple, but it hit harder than she probably realized. The afternoon became chaos. Not because of work, because everyone had noticed the CEO was different. People whispered. Employees smiled. Executives looked confused. And then my phone received a message from HR. I opened it. Your transfer request has been revised. I frowned. Revised? I opened the attachment. The original transfer was gone, replaced by a new internal assignment. Department, CEO Partnership Office position, future husband candidate. I stared. Then slowly looked at Vivian. Did you seriously create a department for this? She looked completely calm. Yes. Vivian? Yes. This is insane. She smiled. Maybe. What? She leaned closer. Because you asked for a transfer. Pause. So I transferred you. Where? She looked at me. Closer. Before I could answer, the elevator doors opened. A group of investors walked out. The chairman was leading them. He looked at Vivian, then at me, then at the document in my hand. His expression changed. Vivian? Yes. Can we talk? I immediately felt the atmosphere change. Because this was not a casual conversation. The chairman looked at me, then back at Vivian. Your personal decisions are becoming company decisions. Vivian's expression turned cold again. The Ice Queen returned. What exactly are you implying? The chairman placed a file on the table. Your upcoming shareholder meeting. I frowned. What? He looked at Vivian. Because some shareholders believe you are risking the company. A pause for one employee. Vivian looked at him, then at me, and without hesitation she reached for my hand in front of everyone. Then they should understand something. The room became silent. What? She looked at the chairman. Ryan Mitchell is not just an employee. My heart stopped. Then she said he is the person I chose. The room became completely silent. Not the normal silence of a business meeting. A different kind. The kind that happened when everyone heard something they never expected. The chairman looked at Vivian, then at me, then back at Vivian. Ryan Mitchell is not just an employee? Vivian did not move. No, the chairman frowned. Then what exactly is he? I expected hesitation. I expected Vivian to give a professional answer. Something about talent, performance, company value. Instead, she simply said, the person I want beside me. I felt my heartbeat increase because Vivian Blackwood did not say things she did not mean. She was not someone who acted emotionally. She was not someone who made statements to impress people. Every word from her had weight. And now she had said it in front of investors, in front of executives, in front of the people who could influence her entire career. The chairman looked uncomfortable. Vivian. Yes. You understand the seriousness of this situation. I do. Your relationship with an employee could create questions. Then answer them. Everyone looked surprised. She continued, review every decision involving Ryan. Pause. Review every promotion, every project, every opportunity. Find one decision made unfairly. The room became quiet. Can you? Nobody answered because they knew the truth. Ryan Mitchell was not successful because Vivian liked him. He was successful because he had always been good. The chairman looked at me. Mr. Mitchell. Yes. How long have you worked with Ms. Blackwood? 3 years. And during those 3 years did you receive special treatment? I opened my mouth, then stopped because the honest answer was complicated. No, the chairman raised an eyebrow. No. No, I looked at Vivian. She was actually harder on me than anyone else. A few executives smiled because they knew Vivian was demanding, especially with herself and with the people she trusted. The chairman looked at Vivian. Then why make this public? That was the real question, not whether she cared. Why she admitted it. Vivian looked at me. Then answered, because hiding him would make it seem like I believe he is something to be ashamed of. The room went quiet. She continued, I do not. I had never seen Vivian like that, not as a CEO, not as the Ice Queen, just a woman who had finally decided she would not pretend anymore. The chairman left with the investors, but before leaving he gave Vivian one warning. The shareholders will ask questions. I know. They may challenge your leadership. I know. And you are willing to accept that? Vivian looked at him. Yes. No hesitation. No fear. After everyone left, I turned to her. You did not have to do that. She looked at me. Do what? Say those things. Yes, I did. Why? She walked back toward her desk. Because they were true. I followed. Vivian. Yes. You could lose your position. She nodded. I know. Your company. I know. Your reputation. I know. I stared at her. And you are still okay with that? She looked at me. No, that surprised me. No, I'm not okay with losing those things. Pause. But I'm less okay with pretending you do not matter. That sentence stayed with me because I realized something. Vivian was not choosing me instead of everything else. She was choosing not to abandon herself. The next few days were strange. Everyone at Asteria knew, not officially, but everyone knew the CEO had a favorite employee. Except that was not accurate because Vivian never treated me like a favorite. She treated me like everyone else. Actually, sometimes worse. Ryan. I looked up. Yes. Your report has 3 mistakes. I sighed. I fixed 2. That means 1 remains. You noticed? Yes. You are impossible. Yes. I smiled. Somehow that felt comforting, but outside the office things became more complicated. A business magazine published an article, Asterian CEO's judgment questioned after employee relationship revealed. The comments were worse. Some people called me lucky. Some called me ambitious. Some suggested I only got close to Vivian for power. I tried not to care, but I did because I knew the truth and I knew Vivian was being judged because of me. That night I went to Vivian's office. She was still working, of course, but this time I noticed something. She looked tired, not physically, emotionally. Vivian. She looked up. Ryan. You should go home. A small smile appeared. Interesting. What? You are saying that to me now. I smiled. Maybe I learned from you. She closed the document. Good. I sat across from her. Are you worried? She did not answer immediately. Yes. The honesty surprised me. About the shareholders? No then? She looked at me. About you. I froze. Me? Yes. What? Because I know what people are saying. I looked away. Vivian, no, her voice became gentle. Listen. I looked back. You spent years proving you were useful. Pause. I do not want you to start proving you deserve me. I became silent because that hit exactly where it hurt. I do not need you to fight everyone. She continued, I do not need you to protect my reputation. Pause. I need you to believe one thing. What? That I chose you because of who you are, not your work, not your position, not what you can provide, just you. The next morning something unexpected happened. Vivian called me into her office. On her desk was another document. I looked at it. What is this? She smiled. A real transfer. I froze. Another one? Yes. I picked it up. The title was different this time. Not future husband, not assistant, not employee. I looked closer. My breath stopped. Position executive partner. I looked at her. Vivian? Yes. What does this mean? She walked closer. It means I do not want you behind me anymore. Pause. I want you beside me. Before I could answer, my phone rang. It was HR. I answered. Hello. The voice on the other side sounded nervous. Mr. Mitchell? Yes. We need to inform you of something. What? The shareholders have officially requested an emergency vote. I looked at Vivian. She already understood. About me? The HR representative hesitated. Yes. I ended the call. Vivian looked calm, too calm. What are you going to do? I asked. She looked at the document on the desk, then at me. Something I should have done a long time ago. What? She took my hand and said, I am going to show them exactly why I chose you. I always thought powerful people protected their position first. That was how the world worked. CEOs protected companies. Executives protected reputations. Leaders protected their careers. But Vivian Blackwood was different. Because when everyone told her to separate herself from me, she did the opposite. She brought me closer. The emergency shareholder meeting was scheduled for Friday. 5 days. That was all we had. 5 days. Before the people who controlled Asterion Global would decide whether Vivian was still the right person to lead the company. And everyone knew the reason. Me. I hated that. Not because I regretted what happened. I did not. But because Vivian had spent years building Asterion. She sacrificed everything for that company. Late nights, impossible decisions, personal relationships. She had earned her position. And now people were questioning her because she chose someone. I found her in the office late that night. Again. Of course. You're still working. She looked up. Interesting. What? You used to be the person I told that to. I smiled. I learned. From me? Yes. She closed the document. Good. I walked closer. Vivian. Yes. If things get worse, she immediately interrupted. No, I stopped. You do not even know what I was going to say. Yes, I do. She looked at me. You were going to suggest leaving. I became quiet because she was right. I just do not want you to lose everything because of me. Her expression softened. Ryan. Yes. Look at me. I did. Do you know what my biggest mistake was? I shook my head. Thinking that protecting something meant keeping everyone away. Pause. I built walls around myself because I thought that was strength. She looked at me. Then you came along. Me? Yes. What did I do? She smiled slightly. You walked through the walls. I laughed softly. That sounds impossible. It was. Then why did it happen? She answered quietly. Because you never tried to break them. Pause. You just waited until I opened the door. The next morning something unexpected happened. Vivian called a company-wide meeting. Everyone attended. Executives, managers, employees. Nobody knew why. When Vivian walked onto the stage, the room became silent. She looked exactly like the CEO everyone knew, calm, elegant, confident. But this time she was not hiding. I know many of you have heard rumors. Nobody moved. I know there are questions about my relationship with Ryan Mitchell. A few people looked at me. I stood at the back, not beside her. Not because she wanted to hide me, because this was her moment. Vivian continued, I want to make one thing clear. Pause. Ryan Mitchell has never received an opportunity because of his relationship with me. She looked toward the screen. The first slide appeared. Performance records, project achievements, client results, innovation awards. Everything I had done before anyone knew about us. He earned every position he received. Then another slide appeared. Employee feedback, project success rates, customer satisfaction, company growth. The numbers were undeniable. Leadership is not measured by whether a CEO has feelings. Pause. It is measured by whether decisions are fair. One executive raised his hand. Ms. Blackwood. Yes. What happens if your personal relationship affects future decisions? Vivian nodded. That is a fair question. Everyone waited. Which is why I have created a new review system. She explained any decision involving me would be reviewed independently. No special treatment. No hidden advantages. Complete transparency. The room became quiet because nobody expected that answer. They expected her to defend herself. Instead, she improved the system. That was Vivian. After the meeting, Daniel found me. I have changed my opinion. I looked at him. About what? The CEO. What did you think before? That she was terrifying. She still is. Yes. He nodded. But now I think something else. What? She is terrifying because she knows exactly what she wants. I smiled. That sounds accurate. The shareholder meeting arrived. Friday morning, the atmosphere at Asterion felt different. Everyone knew this was not just about Vivian. It was about whether people believed a leader could be powerful and still care. The boardroom was filled. Shareholders, directors, executives. Vivian sat at the center. I was invited as part of the review. Not because she demanded it, because she insisted everything be transparent. The chairman spoke first. Vivian? Yes. You have led this company successfully. Thank you, but leadership requires trust. I agree. Some shareholders believe your personal decisions have created risk. Vivian nodded. I understand. Then answer honestly. Of course. Would you choose Ryan Mitchell again? The room became silent. I looked at her. Everyone waited. This was the question. The one that mattered. Vivian did not look at the documents. Did not look at the numbers. Did not look at anyone else. She looked at me. Then answered yes. A few people shifted. The chairman continued. Even knowing the consequences? Yes. What? Her answer was simple. Because choosing someone does not mean abandoning responsibility. Pause. It means having the courage to be honest about what matters. One shareholder frowned. But he is an employee. Vivian looked at him. Now the room became quiet. He was. Pause. Now he is my executive partner. I froze because I knew about the position. But hearing her say it publicly was different. She was not hiding behind a title. She was claiming my place. The chairman looked at me. Mr. Mitchell? Yes. Do you intend to continue working at Asterion? I answered honestly. Yes. What? I thought about it, then said, because I believe in the company. A pause. And because I believe in Vivian. The vote began. 10 minutes, 20, 30. Nobody spoke. Finally, the chairman returned. Vivian Blackwood remained CEO. The room exhaled. But before anyone celebrated, the chairman added, however, everyone looked up. There is one more matter. Vivian frowned. What matter? The chairman smiled slightly. The board has approved the creation of the executive partner position. I looked confused. What? The chairman looked at Vivian. Because apparently, a pause, our CEO already decided that position was necessary. Everyone laughed, even Vivian. After the meeting, we stood outside the boardroom. You won. I said. She shook her head. No. She looked at me. I stopped running. From what? My own feelings. I smiled. And the transfer? She looked at me. What about it? I asked for a transfer away from you. Yes. You approved it? Yes. But then you changed my position. Yes. To future husband. A small smile appeared. Yes. I laughed. You still think that is a normal job title? No. Then why write it? She stepped closer. Because I wanted you to understand something. What? You were never leaving my life. Before I could answer, her assistant rushed over. Ms. Blackwood. Vivian turned. Yes. The annual company gala invitation list needs approval. Put Ryan Mitchell as my guest. The assistant nodded, then hesitated. Only guest. Vivian looked at her. The assistant immediately understood. Understood. After she left, I looked at Vivian. What did you tell her? Vivian smiled. Nothing. Then why did she change it? Because everyone knows. Knows what? She took my hand. That you are not my employee anymore. Pause. You are the person I want beside me. I thought the hardest part was leaving. I was wrong. The hardest part was realizing the woman I tried to escape from was the person who had been waiting for me to stay. After the shareholder meeting, I thought everything would become easier. I was wrong because winning one battle did not mean the war was over, especially when the person standing beside me was Vivian Blackwood, the Ice Queen CEO, the woman who had just proven to the entire company that she would not hide me. The next morning, Asterion felt different. Not because people treated me differently. Actually, most people treated me exactly the same. That was the thing I respected about Vivian. She never allowed our relationship to become an excuse. If I made a mistake, she corrected me. If my work was incomplete, she told me. If I missed a deadline, she reminded me. The only difference was now she also reminded me to eat lunch. Ryan. I looked up from my desk. Yes. Vivian stood there holding a coffee. I smiled. Let me guess. What? You were checking if I ate? She nodded. Yes. You are predictable. That is not a criticism. I know. I took the coffee. Thank you. She watched me for a moment, then asked, You slept 6 hours. I froze. How do you know? You look tired. That is creepy. No, she sat down. That is observation. I smiled. CO observation? No, a pause. Someone who cares observation. That sentence still surprised me because Vivian Blackwood was not someone who used emotional words. Every time she said something personal, it felt more meaningful, like she had spent years keeping those words locked away. And now she was slowly giving them to me. A few weeks passed. Things became normal, or as normal as possible when your girlfriend was the CEO of a billion-dollar company. There were still challenges, meetings, schedules, public attention, but Vivian handled everything. The difference was she no longer handled everything alone. One Friday evening I found her still working. I walked into her office. She looked up. Ryan? Yes. What are you doing here? I looked at the clock. Making sure you leave. A small smile appeared. You are copying me. Yes. Good. I walked to her desk. Then I noticed something, a folder with my name on it. What is that? She immediately closed it. Nothing. I raised an eyebrow. Vivian? She looked away. That was unusual. You are hiding something. No, you are. She sighed. Fine. She handed me the folder. I opened it. Inside were documents, not business documents, personal ones. The first page was a list, things I liked, my favorite food, my habits, things that made me stressed, things that made me happy. I looked at her. You wrote this? Yes. What? She looked confused. Because I wanted to remember. I stared. Vivian? Yes. You remember everything already. She shook her head. Not everything. Pause. Sometimes people need to be remembered intentionally. That answer hit me because I realized something. Vivian had spent years making sure the company remembered everything. Numbers, deadlines, contracts, problems, but nobody remembered her. Why are you showing me this? She hesitated, then said, because I want you to know something. What? When you requested that transfer, a pause, I thought I was losing the person who understood me most. I became quiet. She continued, and I realized something. What? I had spent years asking employees to give everything to the company. Pause. But I had never asked myself what I wanted. I looked at her and now she smiled. Now I know. What? Yeah. For a moment neither of us spoke because sometimes the simplest words were the strongest. The next month Asterion held its annual leadership conference. It was a huge event. Executives from different branches attended. Investors, partners, media. Normally Vivian loved these events. Not because she enjoyed attention, because she controlled every detail. But this time she surprised me. Ryan. Yes. You are coming with me. As your assistant? She looked at me. No, as your executive partner. Yes. I smiled. Still strange. What? Seeing my old boss introduce me like that. She looked at me. You are not my old employee. Pause. You are the person I chose. At the conference something unexpected happened. A reporter asked Vivian a question. Ms. Blackwood, many people say your leadership style has changed since your relationship with Ryan Mitchell became public. Do you think emotions have affected your decisions? The room became quiet. I expected a business answer. Something careful. Instead, Vivian answered honestly. Yes. Everyone looked surprised. She continued, my emotions changed me. Pause. But they did not weaken me. She looked around. For years I believed a strong leader had no room for personal feelings. Pause. I was wrong. The reporter asked what changed. Vivian looked at me, then answered, I learned that caring about someone does not make you less capable. It reminds you why your work matters. The answer spread online not because it was dramatic, because it was honest. People saw something they had never seen before. Not the Ice Queen CEO Vivian. That evening after the conference ended, we walked outside. You surprised everyone. I said. She smiled. Did I? Yes. Why? Because you admitted emotions changed you. She nodded. Is that a problem? No then. I looked at her. I just never thought I would hear Vivian Blackwood say that. She smiled. Neither did I. We stopped near the hotel entrance. Then Vivian became serious. Ryan. Yes. There is something I need to tell you. What? She took a breath, and that alone surprised me because Vivian Blackwood did not hesitate ever. I have been offered something. What? A position. I frowned. Another company? No then. She looked at me. The board wants me to become the global president. I smiled immediately. That is amazing. She did not smile. I noticed. What happened? She looked away. It requires moving. My expression changed. Where? New York. I became quiet. Asterian's headquarters were in Seattle. My life was here, our life. When do you decide? She looked at me. That is the problem. What? The board expects my answer tomorrow. I understood. A bigger position, a bigger responsibility, a bigger future. But there was one question: where did I fit? That night, Vivian stood on the hotel balcony looking at the city. I joined her. Are you afraid? She asked. I thought about it. Yes. She looked surprised. Of what? Losing you. For several seconds she said nothing. Then, Ryan. Yes. I spent years choosing success. Pause. Now I finally have someone I do not want to leave behind. I looked at her. So what will you choose? She was silent. Then her phone rang. The message appeared from the board. Final decision required: global president promotion or current CEO position. Vivian stared at the screen, and for the first time I saw the Ice Queen CEO face a choice she could not solve with logic, because this time the decision was not about business. It was about us. I had always believed Vivian Blackwood could solve anything. A difficult negotiation, a failing project, a company crisis. Give her a problem and she would find the answer. But that night I saw something different. For the first time Vivian was facing a problem that could not be solved by numbers. The next morning the entire executive team knew about the offer. Global president, the highest position she could reach at Asterian. A position that most CEOs spent their entire careers trying to achieve. Everyone congratulated her. Everyone told her she should accept. Everyone except Vivian. I found her in the office early, too early. She was already working. I walked in. She looked up. Ryan, you did not sleep. That is an observation. It is also true. A small smile appeared. You are becoming more like me. That worries me. What? Because then someone has to stop both of us from working. She laughed quietly. A real laugh. The kind I still loved hearing. I sat across from her. Have you decided? She knew what I meant. No, inuda. What are you thinking? She looked at the city outside. About the first day you gave me the transfer request. I smiled. The day I tried to leave. Yes. And you wrote future husband. She nodded. You thought I was being unreasonable. I still think that. She looked at me. But. I smiled. But I also think it was the most Vivian Blackwood thing you have ever done. What does that mean? You saw a problem. Pause. And instead of accepting it you changed the situation. She smiled. Exactly. I looked at her. Then what is the problem now? She was quiet. Because this time I cannot simply change the situation. What? Because the decision affects other people. She pointed toward the office. Thousands of employees, the company, the future. Pause. And you? I understood. That was why Vivian was struggling. Not because she did not know what she wanted, because she cared about the consequences. The same thing that made her a great CEO. Vivian? Yes. Can I say something? Of course. You keep thinking this is a choice between me and the company. She looked at me. Is it not? No, then what is it? I smiled. It is a choice about how you lead. She became silent. You taught me something. What? Being responsible does not mean sacrificing everything. Pause. Means finding a way. For a long time she did not speak. Then she asked, would you move to New York? The question surprised me. Not because of the answer, because she asked. The old Vivian would have decided everything alone. The new Vivian asked. I would. She looked surprised. You would? Yes. What? Because I do not want you to choose between your dream and me. Pause. I want to be part of your dream. Her expression softened. Ryan? Yes. What if you regret it? I might. That surprised her. You might? Yes. I smiled. But I would regret not trying more. That evening Vivian made her decision. Not alone with me. She called the board. I accept. I smiled. Then she added, under one condition. I looked at her. The board asked what condition. Vivian answered calmly, the transition must include Ryan Mitchell as part of the executive leadership team. My eyes widened. Vivian? She ignored my surprise. I will not move to another city and leave behind the person who helped me become the leader I am today. The board approved. But the news created another wave of attention, not negative this time, curious. Everyone wanted to know who was Ryan Mitchell, the man who convinced the Ice Queen CEO to change? Before leaving Seattle, Vivian held one final company meeting. This time she did something unexpected. She invited me to speak. I looked at her. You want me to speak? Yes. What? Because people need to hear you. I'm not the CEO. No, she smiled. But you are the reason I learned leadership is not about standing alone. I stood in front of hundreds of employees. I was nervous, more nervous than any presentation I had ever given because this was not about a project. It was personal. I know many of you know me as Vivian's assistant. A few people smiled. That is how I started. I looked toward Vivian, but I learned something. Pause. Titles change. Positions change, but the people who believe in you matter. After the meeting, Vivian and I walked through the empty office. Our old office, the place where everything started, the place where I once asked for a transfer. She stopped near my old desk. You know something? What? I hated this desk. I laughed. What? Because it was where you spent all your nights. That is a strange reason. No, she looked at me. It reminded me that I noticed everyone's effort except yours. I looked at her. Vivian. Yes. You do realize you are much softer now. She frowned. Is that bad? No, I smiled. It is my favorite change. The move to New York happened 1 month later. A new office, a new city, a new beginning, but some things stayed the same, like Vivian checking whether I ate, like Vivian reminding me to leave work on time, like Vivian closing my laptop whenever I ignored her. On our first night in New York, I walked into our new apartment. There was a box on the table. I opened it. Inside was my old transfer request, the original one, the one where I asked to leave. I looked at Vivian. You kept this? Yes. What? She took the paper, turned it over. On the back, she had written something. I read it. Rejected. I laughed. Rejected? Yes. By whom? She looked at me. By me. What? Her answer was simple. Because you were not asking to leave. Pause. You were asking to be chosen. I looked at her. And you chose me. Yes. The next morning, something unexpected happened. I received a message from Asturian Sport. A new document, a promotion. I opened it, then froze. Position, executive partner to the global president. I looked at Vivian. She smiled. What? I laughed. You really cannot stop creating positions. Yes. What? She walked closer. Because I spent years building a company. Pause. Now I want to build a life. I thought that was the end of the surprises. I was wrong. Because that evening, Vivian handed me another document. Not from the company, personal. I opened it. My breath stopped. It was not a contract, not a promotion, not a transfer. It was an invitation. Family dinner. I looked at her. Vivian? Yes. Why does this feel important? She smiled. Because it is. What? She took my hand. Because next month, a pause, I want to introduce you to my parents. I smiled. Okay. Then she added, and I want them to meet my future husband. I froze. Future husband? She nodded. Yes. But you already wrote that on a company document. I know. Then why say it again? She smiled. Because this time, a pause, I want the whole world to know. I thought Vivian introducing me to her parents would be the biggest challenge. I was wrong because meeting the family of the Ice Queen CEO was nothing compared to what happened next. The week before the family dinner, Vivian became unusually quiet. Not cold, not distant, just thoughtful. And that worried me because I knew Vivian. When she was angry, she was direct. When she was stressed, she worked harder. But when she was quiet, she was making a decision. One evening, I found her standing in our apartment. Not working, not answering emails, just looking at the city outside the window. That alone was unusual. Vivian. She turned. Ryan. You are not working. No, should I be worried? A small smile appeared. What? Because this might be the first time I have seen you standing still. She laughed softly. That is fair. I walked closer. What are you thinking about? She looked outside. Everything. That sounds serious. It is. She turned toward me. Do you remember what you said when you first requested the transfer? I smiled. That I needed a new challenge. No, she shook her head. The real reason. I became quiet because I remembered. I wanted to leave because staying beside her hurt. Because I cared about someone who seemed impossible to reach. Yes. She nodded. You thought leaving would make things easier. Yes. Did it? I smiled. No, why? Because I realized the problem was never the distance. Pause. It was that I never told you how I felt. Vivian looked down, then smiled. That is exactly what I was thinking. What? That I spent years leading thousands of people a pause. But I was afraid to tell one person how important he was. I had heard Vivian negotiate billion-dollar deals. I had seen her face angry investors. I had watched her handle crises. But that moment she looked more vulnerable than ever. The family dinner arrived. Vivian's parents lived outside New York, a beautiful house, quiet, elegant, the kind of place where you immediately felt like everyone inside knew exactly what they were doing. I was nervous, very nervous. Vivian noticed. You are nervous? Yes. What? Because I am meeting your parents. She looked confused. You have negotiated with executives worth billions. That is different. Oh. They do not have the ability to judge whether I am good enough for their daughter. She stared at me, then smiled. My parents already know. Oh. Because I told them. What did you tell them? She answered simply, that you are the person who makes me happy. When we arrived, her parents were waiting. Her father, Richard Blackwood, shook my hand firmly but warmly. Her mother, Elaine, hugged Vivian first, then looked at me and smiled. I have been waiting to meet you. I was surprised. Me? Yes. What? She looked at Vivian. Because this is the first time my daughter has talked about someone without mentioning their job title. Vivian immediately looked embarrassed. Mom. Everyone laughed. Dinner was different from what I expected. I expected questions, pressure, judgment. Instead, they asked about my life, my family, my goals, my dreams. They treated me like a person, not like someone trying to enter Vivian's world. After dinner, Vivian's father asked me to walk outside with him. I immediately became nervous. Here it was, the serious conversation, the father conversation. He stopped near the garden. Ryan. Yes, sir. I want to ask you something. Of course. Do you know why Vivian chose you? I thought about it. Because I understand her? He smiled. Partly. Then. Because you never tried to use her. I stayed quiet. He continued, many people see Vivian's success first. They see the company, the money, the influence, but you saw my daughter. I smiled. I think she was easier to understand than people believed. Her father nodded. Yes. Pause. Everyone thought Vivian needed someone strong enough to stand beside her. He smiled. But she needed someone who would remind her she did not always have to be strong. When I returned inside, Vivian was waiting. What did my father say? I smiled. That he likes me. She raised an eyebrow. That is all. Yes. She studied my expression. You are hiding something. Maybe. She smiled. You are learning. The next Monday, Vivian made another announcement, but this time it was not about the company. It was personal. As During Global held a major annual event, thousands of employees attended, investors, partners, media. Everyone was there. Vivian walked onto the stage and I stood among the executives. She began, when I became CEO, I believed one thing. The room became quiet. That emotions were distractions. Pause. I believed the best leaders were people who never needed anyone. She looked around. I was wrong. The audience listened carefully. Leadership is not about standing alone. It is about knowing who helps you become better. Then she looked toward me and everyone followed her eyes. Ryan Mitchell. My heart tightened. I stepped forward. Vivian smiled. The person who started as my assistant. Pause. The person who challenged my assumptions. The person who reminded me that a company is built by people, not machines. Then she said something I never expected. Today, I want to make one more announcement. The room became silent. The executive partner position was created because Ryan earned it. Pause. But there is another reason. She looked directly at me. Because I want him beside me. The crowd applauded, but Vivian was not finished. She reached into her pocket and took out a small box. My breath stopped. Not because I did not expect it, because I knew Vivian. She never did anything without meaning. She opened the box. Inside was a simple ring. Not flashy, not expensive, just elegant. She looked at me. Ryan? The entire room was silent. I rejected your transfer request. A few people laughed. She smiled, because you were trying to leave. A pause. But I knew something you did not. What? That you were not looking for another department. She stepped closer. You were looking for a place where you belonged. My eyes became emotional because she was right. I spent years thinking I needed to escape, but what I really wanted was to be chosen. Vivian held the ring. Ryan Mitchell. Yes. I cannot promise that life with me will always be easy. Pause. My schedule is impossible. Everyone laughed. And I still close your laptop. I laughed. She smiled. But I can promise one thing. She looked at me, you will never have to wonder whether you were wanted. The room was completely silent. Then she asked, will you let me choose you? I smiled, yes. The applause was overwhelming. Employees stood. Executives smiled. Even the chairman looked happy. But the moment I remembered most was not the applause, not the cameras, not the attention. It was Vivian looking at me. Not as her employee, not as her executive partner, just Ryan. Later that night, after everyone left, we returned home. I looked at the ring. You planned this for a long time. Yes. How long? She thought, since the day you gave me the transfer request. I laughed. That long? Yes. Why? She looked at me, because that was the first time I realized a pause. I could lose you. I smiled. And you hate losing. Yes. So you created a new position. Yes. Future husband. Yes. I laughed. You really committed to that joke. She looked serious. It was never a joke. Then my phone rang. A message from Mysterian. I opened it. A final update. I froze. Vivian. Yes. The board approved something. What? I showed her the message. Official title update. Executive partner, future husband of Vivian Blackwood. I looked at her. They actually approved this? She smiled. Yes. This is insane. Maybe. Why are you smiling? She took my hand. Because tomorrow a pause. We start planning the future. I smiled. The transfer request that was supposed to take me away became the document that brought me home. But I had no idea the biggest surprise was still waiting. Because tomorrow was not just about our future. It was about the promise Vivian had kept from the very beginning. I used to think the biggest change in my life would be leading Mysterian Global. I thought a transfer would give me a new beginning. A new office. A new team. A new identity. I never imagined that the same document I created to escape would become the reason I found my future. The morning after Vivian's announcement, I woke up earlier than usual. Not because of work. For the first time in years, not because of work. I looked at my phone. No urgent emails. No unfinished reports. No messages from executives asking for updates. Instead, there was only one message. From Vivian. Breakfast. Kitchen. 8 o'clock, I smiled. Even after everything, some things never changed. When I walked into the kitchen, Vivian was already there. Coffee. Breakfast. A perfectly organized schedule on the table. I looked at it. Then at her. Please tell me that is not another life management plan. She looked at the paper. It is. I sighed. Vivian? Yes. I am your future husband, not a company project. She thought for a moment. Correct. Then why is there a schedule? Because I know you. I laughed. That is your excuse for everything. Yes. And it works? Yes. I could not argue because unfortunately it did. A few weeks later, wedding planning began, and that was when I discovered something important. Vivian Blackwood could negotiate with billion-dollar investors. She could control a company with thousands of employees. She could handle pressure from the entire business world, but planning a wedding, that was different. She wants what color? I looked at the wedding planner. The planner smiled. Ms. Blackwood said she does not care about expensive decorations. That sounds like her. She only has one request. What? The planner looked at me. She wants the place to feel like home. I became quiet because that was Vivian. She never cared about appearances as much as people thought. She cared about meaning. One evening, I found her looking through old photos. What are you doing? She looked up. Remembering. Anything interesting? She showed me a picture. A much younger Vivian. Before Asterian. Before the CEO title. Before everyone called her the Ice Queen. She looked different. Not because of her appearance. Because of her expression. She looked free. You were happy here. She nodded. Yes. Then what happened? She looked at the photo. I thought becoming stronger meant becoming someone nobody could hurt. Pause. But I forgot something. What? People who never let anyone close, she smiled slightly, also never let anyone love them. He sat beside her. You know what I think? What? I think you were always strong. She looked at me. But you were tired. For a moment she said nothing. Then she leaned against my shoulder. A small gesture, something the old Vivian would never have done. The wedding day arrived and somehow the entire company knew. Not because Vivian announced it, because everyone wanted to celebrate. Employees sent messages. Executives attended. Even people who once questioned us admitted something. They had never seen Vivian happier. Before the ceremony I stood waiting. I was nervous. More nervous than any presentation. More nervous than any interview, because this was not about proving myself. It was about promising my future. Then the doors opened. Vivian walked in, and for the first time I did not see the CEO. I did not see the Ice Queen. I saw the woman who closed my laptop. The woman who challenged me. The woman who chose me. When she reached me, she smiled. Quietly she said, "You look nervous." I laughed. "You were saying that now?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I want to remember this." "Remember what?" "The first time I saw you afraid." I smiled. "That is cruel." "No." She looked at me. "It means you are human." During the vows, Vivian surprised everyone. Because instead of giving a short, professional speech, she spoke honestly. I spent most of my life believing everything had to be earned. A pause. Success, respect, power. She looked at me. "But Brian taught me something." The room became silent. "Some things are not earned. They are given. Trust, love, home." I held her hand because I knew how much those words meant. Vivian Blackwood did not give people pieces of herself easily, but she gave me everything. After the ceremony we took photos. Employees congratulated us. Friends laughed. Family celebrated. But the moment I remembered most happened later, when everyone left, when it was just us. We returned home, our home, not mine, not hers, ours. I placed my jacket down, then noticed something on the table, a document. I picked it up. I immediately recognized it, the transfer request, the original one, the one where I asked to leave. I looked at Vivian. "You still have this?" "Yes." "What?" She walked over. "Because it reminds me of something." "What?" "That the biggest change in my life started with you trying to walk away." I smiled. "And what did you do?" She took the document. "I rejected it." "Because of the position?" She shook her head. "No, then why?" She looked at me. "Because I knew you were not asking for another job." Pause. "You were asking whether someone would choose you." I became quiet because that was the truth, the thing I never admitted. I did not want a different department. I did not want another office. I wanted to know whether I mattered. And Vivian answered. Years later, people still told the story of the employee who asked his CEO boss for a transfer, the story of the Ice Queen CEO who signed it then changed his position to future husband. People thought the most unbelievable part was that a CEO would do something like that. They were wrong. The unbelievable part was that I almost walked away before discovering someone was already choosing me. One night I stayed late working, not extremely late, just late enough. Vivian walked into my office at home. She looked at my laptop, then at me. I immediately smiled. "Do not." She walked closer. "Ryan." "Yes." "What time is it?" I looked at the clock. 10. She nodded, then closed my laptop. I laughed. "After all these years?" "Yes." "You still do it?" "Yes." "What?" She sat beside me, then took with, "Because some things should never change." "What things?" She smiled. "The fact that I will always remind you to come home." I looked at her. My CEO, my partner, my wife, the woman who once seemed impossible to reach, and I finally understood. I did not need a transfer. I did not need a new life. I did not need to escape, because the place I was searching for was never another department. It was beside her. I once asked my CEO boss for a transfer. She signed it. She changed my position. She wrote, "Future husband." At the time I thought she was changing my career. I was wrong. She was changing my life. That's all for today. Remember to subscribe and support us.